Lately, we've been talking a lot about these small Funko shops shutting down, and we know why.
Let's talk about it.
So in case you missed it, or you live under a rock, like Patrick Star. Do you know who that is? He's from SpongeBob. He lives in a rock house.
Oh, really?
Literally under the rock.
No, I didn't know that.
When someone comes over, it goes, and then he's always like laying on the bottom of the rock because he's a starfish.
Oh, that's cool.
We have been talking a lot about these smaller businesses that get into Funko and then they're semi-reputable, some of them. Big Apple Collectibles, not so much. But aside from that, some reputable companies coming in, doing good business, and then slowly fading away until they take a bunch of customers' money and run.
This is happening a lot lately, and we discussed this over the last couple of days and in past videos where these small companies virtually come out of nowhere, build up sort of a good customer fan base, and then just disappear. Being Funko news people,
Connoisseurs.
we have...
Did you like my little accent?
Yeah. We have ideas as to why this is going on.
It sort of sounded like connoisseurs, which would make sense because we fart a lot and we might smell like a sewer.
All of this goes back to Funko. It all goes back to Funko, the pandemic, and delays.
Also, to no fault of Funko's, I do believe some of it has to do with the companies being greedy as well. Some of these companies we have actively talked about are Kraken's Collection, Big Apple Collectibles, and Balliot, and a few other companies that have recently shut down are Nerdy Steez and Vaulted, all of which were reputable at some point in time, except maybe Big Apple. Like, they were okay-ish, not
Well, they probably started off really well. Most of these companies start off really well. They grow fan base, people get excited about them, everybody starts sharing their name, and then the company literally just goes whoop, down into zone. It happens so fast and people don't see it coming. It isn't until you see a bunch of comments posted up on an Instagram saying, hey, where's my order? And then people start to realize that we're all saying exactly the same thing because we're all faced with the same exact situation.
And this is unfortunate because it's oftentimes that this news comes out too little too late. And I've said it in previous videos and I'm gonna say it again. If you are getting a weird feeling about a company, and it's not like a couple weeks delay or like maybe a month's delay, but you're talking like 3, 4, 5, 6 months delays, you've seen them on shelves elsewhere, it might be a bad sign. But an even worse sign is no customer service at all. And that's like the number one thing that we continue to see from these companies is that they'll communicate up until their demise. And it is absolutely horrible how they take advantage of their customers. So a lot of times these companies start up, nobody's ever heard of them. They get in touch with influencers, they pay for sponsored ads on Facebook and Instagram, they have lowish prices that all draw you in. Then all of a sudden, everybody knows their name. They've ordered from them and things seem to go pretty well.
And then everything goes real fast, and then we're sitting here making videos discussing said companies. How does this all begin? It has to start somewhere. And why does it start? Well, we're here to explain that because it all goes back to Funko. Funko is the reason why these small companies have such a hard time. I want to say that most of these small companies, even the ones that we absolutely hate, have troubles because of Funko, which leads them to shutting their store down. The fact that they run with your money is a whole separate issue, but the fact that the company folds up and can no longer be operational has everything to do with Funko.
What happens is they get this account with Funko, they put in all these pre-orders, they have people pre-order from their website, and then with all of the issues that they have faced with Funko, with delays and having to explain to their customers, hey, there's a delay on this, there's a delay on that, people demanding refunds because they found it at GameStop or Walmart just last week and they can't wait another 2 months like the company is saying to wait, it puts a huge damper on these smaller businesses' sales. So one of the main issues is that Funko seems to cater to the larger companies like Hot Topic, FYE, Walmart, Target, GameStop, etc. before they cater to the small guys. It seems like the really big accounts get their items first, which leaves the smaller guys looking like they're lying to you when they're not. Funko's just not sending their product right away.
What's sad about this is that the small businesses are the ones who made Funko who they are today. Without those small businesses, Funko would not have an account with Target, Walmart, and GameStop, and a lot of these other large retailers like Amazon. From a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because they're making a lot more money with the larger retailers. I mean, on paper, you're going to see much more money coming out of the larger retailer than a smaller retailer.
If one small store has one location versus how many locations of Walmart are in the US?
Exactly.
Hold on, I can tell you. How many Walmarts are there in the United States? 4,624 Walmart stores in the United States. So if each of them is purchasing, let's say, like 36 of the same pop, that's a lot more than one store purchasing 36 of that same pop.
Which is why Funko is catering to the larger companies more than they would the smaller companies, but the smaller companies deserve love too. But the fact that they're not getting that love is the reason why they're all falling apart and they can no longer do pre-orders, because it leaves a lot of fans and consumers sort of left off on a desert island all by themselves while they watch all of their other consumer friends buying from the larger retailers.
One other thing I'd like to note, and I don't believe this is really something we have talked about, and I don't think that it's common knowledge at all, but if you notice when Funko is doing announcements, Entertainment Earth typically puts their pre-orders up 30 minutes to an hour before the smaller retailers do. I don't know why. I would assume that Entertainment Earth and Funko have some sort of agreement, but basically smaller retailers are told this is the time that you are allowed to put your pre-orders up for sale. No sooner. If we catch you doing it sooner, we can revoke your Funko account. Therefore, Entertainment Earth is the one receiving all the pre-orders, and then the smaller guys, all below them, are the ones having to wait, putting up their pre-orders later, and Entertainment Earth is taking a lot of what could be their business.
Yeah, in fact, recently somebody shared with us that Entertainment Earth had retailer exclusives from other retailers on their site.
I think the one specifically that was sent to us was the Walgreens Blacklight Frankenstein.
Which makes sense because Walgreens is virtually not doing Funko Pops anymore at all. So maybe they're trying to find homes for all the product that's already been created and they need an outlet to sell it.
Well, keep in mind that Entertainment Earth is also a wholesaler to the smaller guys.
Exactly.
So they sell at not the low amount that a Funko account would get you. It's sort of like a little bit above that, but smaller retailers who can't get an account direct from Funko can order from Entertainment Earth.
Which a lot of smaller companies are doing. A lot of these smaller companies are ordering from Entertainment Earth over Funko because they're getting product much faster from Entertainment Earth.
Well, not only that, but Funko recently raised their minimum order that you have to do in a year. So you have to spend extra money per year to have an account with Funko, which means you need to do a certain amount of business to your consumers to have a Funko wholesale account.
That's insanity, because how can a small company live? How can they survive with something like this? And the answer to that question is that they can't survive, which is why you're seeing a lot of these stores falling apart and unfortunately running away with your money in the very end.
Another thing that Funko recently switched up, which is really weird and it has highly affected smaller shops, is they used to allow their wholesale customers to place an order, put it up for pre-order once it was announced. So keep in mind, these smaller shops get the list of what's coming out on a certain date, like 6 months prior or sometimes even more. So some of these things have code names and you don't know exactly what the pop is, what franchise it's coming from. For example, one that sticks out in my mind is WandaVision was nicknamed Big Red. How would you know what that is? These retailers sort of blindly order these things because they don't know what the pops are going to look like or what movie or show that they're from sometimes. They place these orders, put them up for pre-order once they're allowed to announce them, and if they don't sell well enough, they used to be able to cut back their order with Funko.
Ah, okay.
So say you order 216 of one particular Funko Pop. If you only sell 100, you're able to cut that pre-order back, meaning you're not having 116 extras sitting on your shelf.
Okay.
Funko completely took that away. So now you basically blindly order from Funko and say, I want this many of this pop, this many of that pop, this many of that pop. Some you might sell a ton of, like so many that you want to place an order for more, or you sell so few that you have 100 or more sitting on your shelf to sell.
God.
So it's sort of like a guessing game. How popular is this movie gonna be? Should I order a ton of pops or should I not order any?
So it comes down to the store to make their best decision of what's going to work.
Yes, and a lot of it is going in blind because they don't have glams of these items when these things are up for pre-order. Now, typically like your Marvels or your anime, like you're probably gonna wanna order a lot of them. But one thing in particular that I noticed a lot of stores were selling out of like that was Cocaine Bear.
Ah, Cocaine Bear was huge, yeah.
My guess is a lot of these stores didn't realize how popular it would be. They didn't place a huge pre-order because they were like, oh, this is probably sort of indie, like, it might not have that big of a fan base. And people wanted that. Like bad.
Oh yeah, us included.
Months and months after they pre-ordered, these shops are getting this high demand for Cocaine Bear. They have to place an additional order. Well, now they're like on this order that's like way pushed back because the Funko Pops come out in waves. The original order might have come out on the very first wave. They're getting X amount that they initially ordered really soon. But then the additional ones that they order after the fact, when they realize how popular it was, might not come out for another 4 or 5 months after you get the initial ones.
Oh my God.
So it puts these companies in a really strange spot. And again, these are smaller companies, so to have items sitting on their shelves for months and months and months is not good. And they end up marking them down to either what they paid for them or even lower than that, taking a loss sometimes.
Well, larger retailers can do all sorts of fun stuff with Funko Pops that can't sell, but a smaller retailer can't. So they're stuck with a bunch of Funko Pops just sitting on their shelves. They can't do anything with them.
And again, like you mentioned before, the delays, especially with the larger retailers getting them before the smaller retailers, are a huge issue as well. And it's making consumers distrust these small stores. They feel like they're being lied to because they saw the pop that they pre-ordered on GameStop's shelf, but they haven't received theirs. Where the f is it? And I really feel like these stores have good intentions. They're like, well, Funko's telling me it's not going to be in my hands for another 2 months, but my customers already bought it from GameStop last week. So what do? They already purchased the product.
You can't function with a small Funko Pop business anymore. Like, it's almost impossible to carry pre-orders as a small business. A lot of these companies are changing the entire dynamic of how their company operates. Now they're buying collections and they're selling older Funko Pops, or they're doing mystery boxes. They just cannot do pre-orders anymore.
Prime example, Plastic Empire actually posted on our post about Kraken's collection being gone, and they said, this is why we stopped doing pre-orders. We saw what was coming. There will be more. Please support small businesses, but there is no need to pre-order if an item is not exclusive or limited. So they have a point, because collectors are very, very competitive. They want to be the first. They want to show off their haul. So they go and pre-order these items, and I understand why.
Well, you want to be a flexor.
Yeah, you want to flex on all the other collecting hoes.
Flexor!
I just called collectors a bunch of hoes.
I know you did, and that's accurate.
It is. Yes, we can sort of understand how these small stores get in too deep. It seems like there are a lot of issues with the way that Funko is operating, and it seems to focus heavily on them catering to larger retailers. And like Chris said, from a business perspective, it absolutely makes sense, but it sucks for the smaller guys because, as Chris said as well, you're right, by the way, for the first time ever.
Oh my God. Woo!
You might want to take note on your calendar. But you were also right about Funko being where they are today because of the smaller shops. They got exposure there first because the smaller guys were like, hey, we're looking for something to sell. And Funko Pops were perfect.
Yeah.
Low retail, low cost for them to wholesale. So it was just an easy, quick little item to put on your shelves and sell.
I think if the pandemic didn't happen, things might be completely different right now.
Yeah.
The pandemic literally slowed everything down. It delayed everything. I remember when the smaller companies were sort of a little delayed to the bigger companies.
But mostly on the same timeline.
Exactly. Like it was actually happening within a relative good amount of time in between the two. But now it's like much different. And so these companies can't survive because of it. And it's a travesty, really. At the end of the day, watching these small companies, which we all enjoyed buying from, supporting mom and pop shops. When I was growing up, my father had a convenience store. And it was a really big deal to us as a family that people were supporting us.
Yeah, and my family has always owned businesses as well. My grandfather had a convenience store.
Right.
My dad and my uncle both have like restaurant businesses. So it's super important to us and just people's families in general to survive with support.
Right, and not support these big giants that already have a lot of money. You know, we missed one. So, Mischief Toys, a small homegrown business. That's Heather and I. We're mom and pop. We're right here. So I'm all about supporting small businesses, and it sucks so bad that I know that pre-orders are no longer really going to happen with smaller retailers. And that's just the bottom line.
Until Funko can get their act together, hopefully. And we've gone off on a lot of tangents in this video. I do want to say that I believe that these companies don't start off saying, ooh, I think I see some business opportunities here. I'm just going to take a bunch of money and run. This is great. I don't have to do any work. I can just sell some stuff, get in people's good graces, make $1 million and dip. I think that what it comes down to is they start up, get really excited because they see the profits that can be made. Funko doesn't deliver. They're getting a lot of cancellation requests, but they're still having to keep their website up, their lights on, pay for warehouse space, pay for employees. Between the delays and catering to big box stores over the smaller stores, it's just impossible for them to survive the way that they should be. And it's so unfortunate because I know how it is to start a business and to have these like bright stars in your eyes and be like so excited and think, you know, this is how I'm gonna feed my family. We're gonna provide the best customer service and the best pack jobs because I'm a collector and I understand how it is to receive damaged pops, so we're not gonna be like those other stores. And then they go to because they dig themselves into such a big pre-order hole and they can't financially dig their way out of it and make things right with their customers, so they just run. And while I'm not saying forgive them and you shouldn't be upset, I can sympathize and understand how this is happening. I just wouldn't personally allow it to go on that long and continue to tell people, oh, your pre-order's coming, don't worry. Oh no, we're not shutting down. Off with that.
One thing we didn't really even talk about is cancellations. I think a lot of these small companies have problems with delays and people are coming back and saying, I just bought the Funko Pop at Walmart, I'm canceling my order. And really what that does, unfortunately, for that business is it really takes money away from them.
It does.
So that is a huge factor in all of this as well. However, as a consumer, I'm not saying that you're wrong for doing that. I'm just saying that just adds to the overall problem that the small businesses have, unfortunately.
It does, because that's another item that's going to sit on their shelves that other people probably already bought from those stores.
Exactly. It's all unfortunate. Losing your money, seeing these small businesses go away. All of it sucks. We want to see things get better. We talk about this all the time. I think a lot of people take us the wrong way thinking that we're just straight up haters and we hate Funko and everything else, but that's not true at all. We love Funko, we love the product, and we love all these small businesses, well, most of them, who are trying to do good business, like Poppin' Off Toys, Plastic Empire, $7 a pop. All these guys are fantastic, and we can't recommend those three names at least enough. They're awesome, and check them all out. But we want to know what you think about all of this. I know we sort of were all over the place, but I think you have the general idea walking away from this video what we're trying to say. Let us know your favorite Funko Pop shops to buy from, at least the mom and pop ones. In every video, we like to shout out to some of our patrons from Patreon. In this video, we'd like to shout out to Ashley Shelly Ann Nelson, George Gifford, Laura Ann Puala, Sergio Lopez, Sephiroth 81, David Brewer, Keith Clow, Big Papa Toulon, Cloud Splendid, and Charles Smith. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. We appreciate all of our patrons. You guys rock. Thank you so much for staying until the very end of the video. We really appreciate all of your support. You guys are amazing. Remember, as always, we hunt together, yes. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.